episode of the Roving Reporter on Impact. This week, our pet advocate, Kim Belizzi, is back to talk about keeping our pets safe and healthy during the summer months. Kim, welcome.
Thank you, Huldah. It's nice to be here.
Yes, and again, loving your colors.
Well, thank you. You too.
Wonderful. Now, talk to me about, this is the summertime, and everybody wants to be out, including our pets.
Yes.
And the one difference between a human being and a pet is a pet cannot tell you when it's dehydrated, when it's lost, or when it's in need of some kind of assistance because of the summer heat.
Yes, and you mentioned hydration, so I just want to start off with the number one thing that we see and we talk about every year, but we can't talk about it enough, is when we have our animals in the cars with us.
Yes.
As far as hydration goes. You don't realize that even on a day that's 78 degrees, within minutes, the car can heat up to 160 degrees in full sun.
So true.
So you might feel a little cool outside, but when the windows are up and a dog cannot roll down the window or yell, hey, I'm hot, and they can only pant and to release, to cool down, which is just not enough.
And let's talk a little bit more about dehydration and some of the ways that we can protect. You mentioned, making sure that they have water.
Yes.
And make not only indoors, but when you're going outside also.
A lot of dogs like ice cubes, and it's perfect. Put them in their water bowl, just give them to them as a treat. There's a lot of different ways that you can hydrate. There's you can freeze cheese as treats. All of your treats that you can freeze them. And that will help. But you always need to give them fresh water, and wherever they're outside, make sure it's changed.
Yeah.
Dogs need more hydration than humans do.
True.
And it can lead to heat stroke if they are not properly hydrated.
Yes.
And be very cognizant too of the overweight dogs, because they will overheat more quickly. Yeah, and again, it's just like humans again, because you're taxing your body more with the weight that's on it in the hot months.
We have our dogs, they're maybe a little bit overweight from the winter time.
Yes.
And one of the things, like my friend, her dog, his name is Boomer, and he has a lot of hair on his skin in the wintertime, And she takes him to get, a haircut. And the first time I saw it, I thought, poor Boomer, oh my gosh, all your hair is gone. And poor Boomer is happy that the hair is gone because he can breathe more.
Yes.
And when he goes out there, I think it's easier for him to drop the pounds because he's not carrying that heavy weight of the hair.
Yes.
And it also enables him to hydrate even better. And so that's another way that we can take care of our pet, like, if they're very shaggy dogs, give them a haircut for the summer, take care of them, treat them, get them some booties, whatever, and make sure that they're very hydrated. Now also, let's talk about safety.
Yes.
Because, you're on the lifeboat to put the jacket on. Safety is so important in the summertime. That's one of the times where a lot of our, pets can run away. And, if you have one of those pets...
Yes, if you have one of those pets, you need to invest in the invisible fence.
Yes, exactly. Invest in the invisible fence. If you know that you have one who's been clawing to get out all winter, and finally it's like, oh my God, I can run, and he keeps running and never to return.
Yeah, because the weather is nice, so more people have their dogs off leash. The doors are open more frequently if you have children in the house. With an invisible fence, you can contain your pet from being able to get out of any exit and getting lost.
Company comes over, you're busy catering for them, and you may forget about the dog who is now deciding to explore and be beyond his boundaries.
Absolutely.
And then go beyond and never is able to come back. And so that's important. But let's also, when it comes to safety, especially when you're traveling, you're in campgrounds.
Yeah.
If one of the things I've keep them on a leash.
Yes.
If you know he's a runner, keep him on the leash.
You do have to keep him on a leash, and it's we do also offer a product for camps because of that. That you can take with you with the same receiver that they wear around their neck, the same collar.
Oh, talk a little bit more about that.
It's called an outdoor solution. It's called it looks like a rock.
Ooh.
And the rock gives off a radius, and the dog already knows. You put the flags up where the radius goes out to, so it gives the dog that boundary by sight. And they already know how the invisible fence works from their yard at home, and they know they can only go up to the flag. And it works, like I said, off the same receiver, so that's the only extra piece of equipment is buying the rock. And that is wonderful, because then the dog can have some freedom at your campsite as well. But if you don't have that and you don't purchase it, you do need to keep them on lead. You do need to, and then that's another thing, being out at your campsite or whatever. you don't have the same smells from home to call them back, so they can get lost and not return.
We have a list of treats, and I mean, let's just go over them because I think they're so fantastic.
I know, some of them are good.
And before we do that, we didn't talk a lot about safety for cats.
Yeah.
And I just want to just reiterate, because cats, they're house people, but we open our windows, and they are susceptible to falling out.
Yes.
And and then I see sometimes cats that are trying to sleep under the car. They go in the yard and they lay in the car. So watch out for when you're driving or you're getting into that car. You start the engine. Check to see if your cat, who you've let out, that's make sure that it's not under there and you don't drive over him. But be careful with that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Any of the cool areas where they might be at, and if you don't have screens, absolutely be careful on second and third level floors, because that definitely could happen. And they need to be hydrated as well, even if they're outdoor cats, make sure they constantly have water available to them every single day, because they can suffer from heat stroke as well as the dogs do.
Yeah, yeah. Now, on to treats.
On to treats. Yeah, there's a lot of treats out there.
Yes.
And like I said, there are special ice creams and popsicles that you can purchase as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first one is the ice cubes.
Yeah. And that's very simple.
Yes.
And some dogs love them anyway, and they play with them. So it's another form of exercise. The yogurt we talked about, and pre-made or simply freeze regular yogurt containers. So, get your whatever is on sale that day, and it's freeze it in a freezer and put it in the bowl and let them lick it.
Great, great. Now the frozen liver, I was like, whoa.
Yes, but the taste is the same to a dog. Unlike humans, I mean, we always think about these things in the hot form.
Yes.
But dogs like these in all different forms. Yeah, the cold is perfectly fine. And it's a healthy treat.
Yes.
So.
And I think also it goes along with a frozen egg also.
Yes.
Yes. Which I didn't think of,
I wouldn't have thought of the frozen egg either, but it is a good texture to freeze, so it would make sense.
Yeah, and it's something to play around, toss it out to them when they have something to run around the yard and grab a hold of and have fun and then eat.
Absolutely.
And tuna is always a fun thing to have in either winter and summer.
Yes.
Yes, for cats and their dogs. Yeah. Now the other thing is the low sodium broth. Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want to give them too much salt. Salt is not good, and we know even with us, it makes you even more thirsty and absorbs the water out of your system. Yes. So keep a low salt broth if you're going to use anything. Peanut butter is always huge. I mean, dogs love peanut butter. So if you mix that in with anything, you're sure to have a crowd pleaser.
That is wonderful.
Yes. A little bit. The only thing I wanted to get back to is taking your dog in the back of a truck. Trucks are usually made out of a metal.
Yes.
So it's really, the metal can heat up to a very high temperature, even though you think you're going at a high speed and it cools it down, but the heat will come down on the metal and absorb it and make it a very uncomfortable setting for a dog. Not to mention what could happen if you come down, you slow down, and you take off out of the back of a truck. It's really not a safe place for the dog. So just leave them home. Yeah. It's safer.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But if you're traveling, if you're taking them to the beach, put them in this back seat.
Yes.
A lot of trunks have that second seat in them, that's covered as well, you can turn the AC on.
Absolutely.
And just put them in there, and so that they're well, ready. Now, the one thing I think we did not talk about are the signs of dehydration. And I don't know if we have time for that. But, because one of the things, the biggest thing is the stroke.
Yes, for the heat stroke.
The heat stroke. And how you can notice that, my dog, may be suffering from a heat stroke.
Yes. Yeah. And you do have to, just look out and see what they're doing. You can see if they're lethargic. If their skin doesn't pull up, and there's different signs that you can tell, and you can ask your local veterinarian about some of the signs to see about hydration with their skin technique. But be cognizant of those things, and like you said, your pet best.
True.
So look to see exactly what they're doing. And again, it's funny because my cousin just called me the other day about issues with a cat, and now putting these two together, I really do think her cat suffered from a type of heat stroke the other day. But disorientation, off balance, all of those things. And the same thing that with us, and your body's shutting down from lack of water.
True. And now, if you recognize the sign, do we take them immediately to the vet, or we just give them water and then take them? I'm assuming we give them water.
I would, yes. And you can put them in the bathtub, cool them down immediately,
Excellent.
just like you would a human being. And again, start with the cool rag, on the underskin. Give them water. If they can't take water, then definitely, follow through anyway with your vet. Always follow through. Put them in the car while you're hydrating them and get them checked out.
Exactly. And then parasites, of course. I just parked next to the wood the other day, and there were these giant mosquitoes.
Oh yeah.
They just came about to envelop my car, and I'm like, oh my God. And imagine a dog.
Yeah.
Having to bout with these things. And so be careful with that. If you're walking in wooded areas, if there's necessary sprays, I guess, to put on them so that they don't, these mosquitoes don't totally take over.
Well, there are sprays for humans, but really there's heartworm preventative, and that is really key because it is spread through a mosquito bite. So make sure that you're giving your dog your heartworm tablets. They need to actually go to the vet and get a test done to make sure they don't have it prior to giving them the medication, and that's done once a year.
Good.
And then the heartworm preventative is given once a month. But mosquitoes actually breed in stagnant water, and we have a lot of rain this year. So we do have to be very, very careful. I know when I'm out there on consults, the mosquitoes are really bad. So please make sure that everyone should be keeping up with giving their heartworm medication. And again, if you can help to not keep the dog outside a lot when it's like this, it'd be best to keep them indoors where they are away from some of the parasites. Yeah.
Well, this has been a wonderful exchange of information. And we have given our audience more than enough, I think, to safeguard and keep their pets healthy for the summer. Thank you again, Kim, our pet advocate, for being here and for giving us all this wonderful information, from dehydration to sunburn to wonderful treats that we can give our little ones. So thank you again for being on our show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes. You've been watching the Roving Reporter segment of Impact. I hope you've learned something and that you're able to protect your little ones over the summer. Thank you again for watching. I'm Huldah Thompson. See you next
Proctors, bringing the best in arts, education, and entertainment.